Hi and welcome back everyone. So today we are going to see a little overview about the ATC checks that we do in our conversion projects or the upgrade projects to HANA. So ATC is nothing but a short form for Abap Test Cockpit. And you must have heard about the EPC check, which is the enhanced program check, or the code inspector check, which we normally do for our code. So APC and code inspector is done for our like only one code, the code that we're working on. But when you are doing a conversion from your existing database to your HANA database, be it any release, it's a benefit if you do the ATC checks. It's not a compulsory step that you do, but prior to beginning your sum tool and your upgrade process, it's advisable that you perform the ATC checks. So what ATC check will do is it will scan all of the code that you are on your current database, and it will just perform some checks and it will tell you the necessary changes that you need to do in your code when you move to HANA, because there are some functionalities that may not be present in HANA. For example, there may be some function modules that do not that are present in your system currently, but then those function modules are not present when you move to HANA database. And there are some other examples that we will see as we go ahead. So beginning prior to the ATC checks, you need to download two notes. So these are the two notes that we should be downloading in our system. So I have them opened. The first one is 2781766, which is this is the note. So what this note will do is once you run the ATC checks, you are presented with an option of downloading the ATC results into an XML file or an Excel file. So if you do not implement this note, you will not get that option. So this is one of the notes that you should download prior to the ATC checks. The other one is this one, 2959341, which is this. So what this is, this will download the check variants for SAP HANA. So we are on 2020. So the variants that will be presented after implementing this note is the Readiness 2020 and Readiness 2020 no file. If you are on 1809 version, then the variants will be S4HANA Readiness 1809 and 1809 no file. So you don't have to do anything, but you have to make sure that these two nodes are downloaded in the system. And from the first one, you will be able to download the output into an Excel file. You will see it as we go ahead. And with this one, you will be able to have these two check variants in the system. So these two check variants will check all of your code and analyze the changes that require to be done. So this note also tells you to implement this note to 241080. So what this will do is this will download the simplification database content into our system. So this note can be downloaded by us, but it's ideal that basis team do it because we do not have access to the transaction SYCM, which is where we see the simplification database content. So what the simplification database content will do, I'll show you here. So this is the transaction SYCM. So if you go here and then once you have downloaded that note, the one that basis team has to do. So this will just scan your entire system, scan all the code, all the custom codes, and it will tell you what are the ones, which codes are the ones that need to be looked at. And this is also going to be reflected into your ATC. So you can see here there are methods, there are classes, there's standard and there's custom also. So we don't have to really worry about the standard ones because they will be taken care of later on during your SPDD and SPOW, but the custom ones will be checked on later. So this is the simplification database content and the transaction SYCM. So when you are doing the ATC, you have to implement node number one, node number two, and then this is the one that should be taken care of by basis, but we'll have to let them know about this uh, in case it's up to the ABAPers to implement the nodes. Okay, cool. So once we have implemented these three nodes, we go to our system and then we go to the T code called ATC. I'll close this simplification database content. So we go to ATC. Okay, so this is the Abap Test Cockpit. And what we will do, the first step is the schedule runs. So you can see that we have already done the S4HANA Readiness Check 2020 a couple of times. So I will show you how to schedule the runs. So you have to go to first create, and then you have to write a series name. So right now we are only creating a run series is like a job that we create in SM37. So just create a series name. Let's see, test readiness or test ATC. Okay, and then go to create. So here you write a description. You can put any. So let's see, testing ATC. And then suppress findings. Let's keep this default as it is. And then the check variant. So now that we have downloaded the two notes, the check variants S4HANA Readiness 2020 and 2020 no file should be available in your system. You can do an F4 and get it. So we have to schedule two jobs here or two series. One would be for the Readiness 2020 and one would be for 2020 no file. So the difference between the two variants, or because we are having two variants and we have to create two jobs, we may wonder what is the difference. So there are some codes or some checks that are additional in the um, other variant that may not be present in this. In my experience, what I've done this in easy, like on our sandbox and our dev system. So the content is mostly like there are some 20 or so odd items that are more in one of the other variants, one of the two variants. So just, it's better that you run it for both the variants. So then once you choose your variant, keep this as it is and just do a Z star here because we really want to see the custom code only. And then we have done all this. So we'll just go and do a save. Okay, wait, what is, yeah, so you have to do the object provider as well. So ideally it will only be one in your system, AD1 ATC check. Right. So once that is done, then you click on save, and then you will see your test run that you have scheduled here. So that you have created here. So once you create that, and then you will have to click on schedule. So when you click on schedule, it will schedule your test run. So there are other parameters here that you can set. We will really be working on this as soon as it is completed. And really, you don't need 21 days, but you can just keep whatever duration you like here. So that, and just keep everything else as it is. And then once you do it, you can either execute it in background or do a foreground execution. I'm not going to be scheduling the program here because it just takes hours to complete. Like it may take 3 to 4 hours to complete, and then it takes up a lot of processes. So ideally, I would suggest that if you're running the series, run it during your nighttime or run it in background, and then just once you come back to the office the next day, it should be done. So once you schedule this job, but the job will start to run, and then you can monitor and control the jobs there. So you'll just put in the run series name, the one that you created just now, because we did not create the job run series here, so I can't put the test one. But let me just show you the ones that are already in the system. So let's see if we do get anything. Okay. These are the ones, but then these are the ones that really these are not the ones that I have scheduled. These are something else. So I'm not going to open this, but once you schedule the job, you will be able to monitor it here. This shows the state. The state is finished, or it can be in process or running when when your job is running. So nothing to see here, just the state of it. And then once you see the state as finished, you can come to manage results. And then you manage your result. You can run your series name here, whatever the series is. And I'll just put the 2020 because these are the ones that we had already run in our system. So here you have the check one, which is for the first variant, and then the other series would be for the second variant. You can, if you double click on it, you will see the results, what the a check has brought in, or you can also do, okay, let's just see this one first. So once you go in and just do the full screen view here, yes. So you see here you have the option of downloading this storing as spreadsheet. So this option is coming up after you have implemented this note. So this note allows you to download all this in a spreadsheet format. If you don't do that, then it will not be present here. So once you do that, you can just download this whole file into an Excel sheet. I have my Excel sheet open here. The reasoning for opening your Excel sheet is because you can just put in your comments against every object. You can just, for me, for example, I have what done is downloaded this file and then determined which are the objects that are critical, which are the objects that are not critical and that can be skipped. So again, the critical and not critical becomes because, for example, you see that the types of errors here are the field length extension, which is move length conflict, and then you can see there are some syntax errors, some DB operation select found, modify found, join found. So there are some errors here that may result in a dump once you have moved to the HANA data, like the HANA database. Yeah. So we don't want those dumps. And so therefore we can add some as being critical, some as not critical. So let's just go in here. So there are different filters present here. So let's do an advanced filter. So in advanced filter, you can just check which you want to see. Here you can see there are priority 1, 2, 3, 4. Normally we just check 1 or 2, but you can check all of them or any of them. So I'm just going to put in priority 1 to 2. And then you can just check package Z star just in case. I mean, it's already Z because we had mentioned Z star in our run series, but here you can select, any package. So ZM, PM, FI, Accord, whichever. So that is one filter, right? So once you do that, you could go to statistics view. And in statistics view, you can see what are how many objects are present in priority 1, how many are present in priority 2 and priority 3. And then you can see the types of errors here. So there are prerequisites for the test, there's S4HANA, field length extensions, and database operations and all this. And then these can be checked out. Okay, so these can be expanded. And then once you double click on it, syntax error. So you can see that there are 9 objects here in priority 1. So all of them are the syntax error objects. So from here you can see that there are these Z objects that have some kind of syntax error in it. So what you will do is just double click on it. And then once you double click on it, you will find all of the details on the bottom section of the screen. For example, here, the first object, it says that in program include this one, line number 0, there is some syntax error. And then you are also presented with options to either hide it using a pragma or a comment, or you have to perform the actions. So in this case, it cannot be suppressed using a pragma or a pseudo comment. So for example, so for like that, there are different kinds of errors. So sometimes, I mean, not sometimes, it really depends on your system case. You can, if you click on this object name, it navigates to the object directly. So, but I have a fewer, like, I have some restrictions here. So I cannot navigate directly. But what I can do is just select the object. And then you can see that this is a program. So I'll open this program separately in SE38. Okay, sorry. What is this? Let's go PP this program, but okay, cool. It's not here. So what? Let me check in SE80. Okay, cool. So it's not present in the system at all. No worries. Okay, looks like it was changed in 21. But anyway, it's not there. Let's see this one. Do we have this? Likewise, you have to go and check every object one by one. There may be a lot. In this case, there are some 2000 items, 3279. But of course, there are some that are priority 3. I'll skip those. So there's 1339 objects that we need to check. Okay, cool. So yeah, once you do that, I'll close this. And then this is the one. Close this. I'll go back to statistics view. And then just go to all the errors one by one, check the errors. For example, there are so many classes here. It says functionality not available, non-strategic functionality not available. So another thing here is you also you can see the object name, you can see the contact person, package, and you can also see a note number that is associated with it. So if you click on the note, that note will give you additional information about what are the checks that were performed on those items that led them to be uh, inconsistent with the HANA database, or which you have to make changes for. For example, in this one, it says in S4HANA, the mobile asset management solution is not supported. No more information here, just that. So likewise, you just have to go through all of the notes one by one. So there are some notes that are very straightforward that tell you, okay, CAR 02 is not supported in this HANA database, or this function module is not supported in this in S4 HANA. So every note that will give us more information about what is missing in the program, and you need to correct it. So this is syntactically incompatible change, semantically incompatible change of existing function. So of course, no authorization. Okay, so this program is present here. And what it says is double click on it. It says go to line number 185. So we'll go to line number 185. And then it says semantically incompatible change of existing functionality. And then it says reference object xk02 and transaction. So we are calling xk02 in this program. So this is not giving us a lot of information. So I'll go to the note. This is the note. Let's open the note. Okay, so this is public sector specific fields in business partner. Okay, you have implemented own coding using this transaction due to the mandatory customer vendor integration. So CVI integration with business partner, data structures of BP have been adjusted. Okay. So yeah, you just have to go through the notes, what they meant to say. Yes. Okay, so FK01 for vendor and this as well as XK0 with the introduction of business partner in this. Okay, so what's this saying is that with the business partner and CVI integration in S4HANA, there are certain transactions that will not be working. So in this, they have said that the vendor creation transaction XK01, XD01, XD02, these transactions are no longer executable and they will be diverted to transaction BP for partner creation and maintenance. So if we go and check XK02 or XK01, it creates a vendor, but then these transactions, they will be navigated to transaction BP when we move on to S4HANA. So what they mean to say is instead of XK02, make this transaction as BP. Okay, so that is what is meant by this ATC. So ATC just gives you examples like this, that certain functionalities will not be available in this case. Now it's hard to find out examples from this, so I'm just going to refer to the Excel sheet that we had done before. So another example here is the move length conflict. So in move length conflict, what is happening is that the material field was changed from Matner 12, oh sorry, Matner 18 to Matner 14, and that was causing a conflict. So we have tagged it as not critical because it's not giving us any syntax error, and we also determined that we will not be using all the 40 characters of Matner in S4HANA because we are not really changing the way the business process is working currently. So it's termed as not critical, and we'll just be using, even though it is 40, we will still be using maximum 18 characters, and all the programs that is being used at, it's not going to make any difference. I mean, it will cause a dump. Cases where it will cause a dump is, if it's a numeric field that is being changed. So if any decimal field that is being changed. So when you are working with numeric or decimal fields, and then you're performing any calculations in it, it may result in overflow, and that may cause a dump. So that is termed as critical, but this is material field is not critical. Then others. Mm, So there are other that says that DB operation join has been found. Then you have to go to the note and see what they are trying to say. So this is termed as not critical because we are only using, there's only a read access on the table. So what those notes will tell you is that uh, do not perform any updates on these tables. So you can check in your program if you're doing any updates or if you're doing just a read access, and then accordingly take a decision if it's a critical or a non-critical error. So the whole point of ATC is just to make sure that if is your custom code compatible with the HANA database. Some example I found, like I told you, that there was a function module. So that function module, it's like a date function module wherein we split the date. We add some months and then we display the date, or we find it in the future. So we were using a function module, and that function module is not present in S4HANA when we move to 2020. So that function is obsolete there. So instead of that function, we found another function and replaced the program with using that function module. So that was an example. The other examples was the overflow error that I was telling you about a little while ago. So there was a numeric field that was just 10 length, but then that was being moved from 10 to 13. So what was happening was there was an overflow error that was being caused. So we had to fix the code accordingly to accommodate those additional three digits. So likewise. So ATC is really helpful for us to scan our code and to make the necessary changes in the program prior to moving to the HANA database. So if your project requires you to do ATC, or if it's totally up to you to skip it, but I would suggest that you complete the ATC before you perform with your SPA, DD, SPAU, and your sum tool, everything. Okay. Uh, Hope this session was informative. These are the notes that we need to download, and so the variants will be downloaded automatically. Okay, so that was all for ATC. Hopefully, I will see you guys soon. Thank you. Bye bye.